Yeah, I was trying to reach Kingsley so he can send the links on all the different social media, yes, platforms. Okay. It takes a minute. Maybe we can all have an assignment. If there are other people that you can text, I know we have a lot of people. It just never gets old. People do intend to come, and sometimes we don't realize we're waiting for 9. I am on Central Time, and we don't realize that it's 9 already. So, if I can ask all of us to take the responsibility to maybe post on our different social medias or personally send text to people as a reminder, even if you sent it to them an hour ago or yesterday, that would be good because what really matters is that we are together as one and that we're having the conversations that we're having. So please, text as many people as you can. I know last time, Ari, you counted who we were 19 on here now. And if we each sent to 5 people, imagine what that would be and encourage them to send to other people. So let's just give it maybe 2 minutes and then we can get started. Thank you.
Thanks, Ellie.
We're inching up. We're inching up as we're sending more text to others to join because it's already 9.
I see that there's been a change in time. Our time changed and some people's time didn't change.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It's yeah. Yeah, we fell back 1 hour.
Good morning.
we want to really start today by stating the case, why we're here, what has changed, and what we're doing. And so the we have the new president who is not in, and of course, there's a big disappointment. And we have people who are arrested, and we have people who are killed. And so let's just really understand what is at stake. It's not an entertainment conversation. It's we almost cannot sleep. And I dare you that everyone that is on here today, this is a burden that we're carrying every day. So I think we're just going to pause first before I continue. And we want to just have a short silence for all those who have died already. Okay. So here's what is at stake right now. If we sit and we do nothing, and we don't have these conversations, please make no mistake, because there's a conversation going on that for those who are in the diaspora or the out, we're just gathering. It's easier to us to gather on the screen. And the question that I'd like for us to consider is, what do you do? What do you do? We have to use all the tools that we have. And one of the most powerful tools is that we can congregate. And thank goodness for technology, that we can all congregate around the world. And that is an energy that is as equal to even being present. Maybe not quite, but we have to congregate. We have to share ideas. And that is the only way that we can keep the pressure that we have been keeping. So let's just talk a little bit, because Ari is going to make the case for where we are and what we are to do. But let's just talk about, at this time, why we're here. Because the elections did not go how it was supposed to go. It was stolen, and we also have to realize that it was not just stolen, but our government, we don't have a government. It has been hijacked. These are true things that if we are sitting and debating on, we are losing. We're really losing the battle as a people. And so the first thing is we have a lawless country, because the people who are in power are uncomfortable and know that they don't need to be in power. So that is why we're here. Now, what they have is they have money and they have the guns. Maybe not all, but that's not where all the power lies today. So we are here because we know that they are already broken. There's a division within the army. There's a division throughout the government. Make no mistake that right now, as we speak, the government is not functioning. Their number one assignment, those who are in power, those who are supposed to be leading the country, are spending hours in our resources as we speak to pin people against each other. They're not trusting each other. They've hired this Israeli company now, and they're tapping as much as they can. This is the number one assignment. All the money that's being spent is on that. Also, make no mistake that the person who is supposed to be president, as we speak on a daily basis, is being hunted down. They're wanting his body dead or alive. These are all realities that we're dealing with. Then the last thing that I do want to say is the reality is that this time is calling for us as a people, all Cameroonians, to mature. I live in America. I live in America as a Black female because there were people who fought. They did not look for somebody to save them. They were not hoping and writing to the UN. I'm not saying that we shouldn't do that. They were not hoping that some angel or somebody bigger is going to come. They took it upon themselves. And unfortunately, but what we know, many people died. And they fought for their independence from the British. And then the slaves fought for their rights. And I am here. And some of us are here. And I think we can go down history lane and we're going to find the same thing. So I do want to ask us as Cameroonian people that let's just do a self-examination. Who are we hoping is going to save us? What has been your conversation during the week of what is disappointing and what is not happening? Are we really in a space where we understand the dire situation we're in as a people? I have never heard of one person saving a country, but I've heard of a country, the people of the country, what do you do? What do you do? We have to use all the tools that we have. And one of the most powerful tools is that we can congregate. And thank goodness for technology, that we can all congregate around the world. And that is an energy that is as equal to even being present. Maybe not quite, but we have to congregate. We have to share ideas. And that is the only way that we can keep the pressure that we have been keeping. So let's just talk a little bit, because Ari is going to make the case for where we are and what we are to do. But let's just talk about, at this time, why we're here. Because the elections did not go how it was supposed to go. It was stolen, and we also have to realize that it was not just stolen, but we actually, our government, we don't have a government. It has been hijacked. These are true things that if we are sitting and debating on, we are losing. We're really losing the battle as a people. And so the first thing is we have a lawless country, because the people who are in power are uncomfortable and know that they don't need to be in power. So that is why we're here. Now, what they have is they have money and they have the guns. Maybe not all, but that's not where all the power lies today. So we are here because we know that they are already broken. There's a division within the army. There's a division throughout the government. Make no mistake that right now, as we speak, the government is not functioning. Their number one assignment, those who are in power, those who are supposed to be leading the country, are spending hours in our resources as we speak to pin people against each other. They're not trusting each other. They've hired this Israeli company now, and they're tapping as much as they can. This is the number one assignment. All the money that's being spent is on that. Also, make no mistake that the person who is supposed to be president, as we speak on a daily basis, is being hunted down. They're wanting his body dead or alive. These are all realities that we're dealing with. Then the last thing that I do want to say is the reality is that this time is calling for us as a people, all Cameroonians, to mature. I live in America. I live in America as a Black female because there were people who fought. They did not look for somebody to save them. They were not hoping and writing to the UN. I'm not saying that we shouldn't do that. They were not hoping that some angel or somebody bigger is going to come. They took it upon themselves. And unfortunately, but what we know, many people died. And they fought for their independence from the British. And then the slaves fought for their rights. And I am here. And some of us are here. And I think we can go down history lane and we're going to find the same thing. So I do want to ask us as Cameroonian people that let's just do a self-examination. Who are we hoping is going to save us? What has been your conversation during the week of what is disappointing and what is not happening? Are we really in a space where we understand the dire situation we're in as a people? I have never heard of one person saving a country, but I've heard of a country, the people of the country, saving themselves. So that's where we are. So today we're going to have a conversation on what the case is, what is serious, what is it that we need to be talking about. This is so important. What is it that we need to be talking about? What does the conversation, and all of us who are here and listening through, other means, that we are the one to control the narrative, the Cameroonian people and nobody else. And then people might come because they see how serious we are. But if we're not, it's not one person who's going to save us. So we want to be able to have that conversation. Eric is going to be joining us, but I want to say that the real people on the panel today is you. It's each and every one of you. whether you're on YouTube or Facebook, the questions you ask, you're the ones we're highlighting, because we have to come up with what is going to happen. And we are the conversation. We are the ones saving ourselves. That's where we are today. And I think today is more serious than anywhere we've been. So I just wanted us to be alert, to understand what are the questions we're asking, what are we considering, what does it mean like to be able to crumble a stolen government, a government that is ran like I can only think of a Sicilian mafia, or that kind of a movie. If you watch one, that is the takeover we have had. They know it. They know what they're doing. They're living in isolation, and we know it. And so we can sit and do nothing, or we can act. So I'm going to pass it on to Are. And Are, you can open for us.
Yeah.
Yes, as we start the discussion. Thank you.
Yeah. Let me say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone who's joining us today. Thank you for being here. We're broadcasting this on several platforms. I think we have it on X, on YouTube, and on Facebook. So besides those of you who are here, I want to also thank everyone who's joining on one of the streaming platforms. Thank you for being here. We are going through unprecedented times. And I say unprecedented in recognition of the fact that this is the third significant time that our country is going through a process like this, where there is an election and then the results of the election are mitigated in favor of the current regime that started this exercise since 1992. But I say this time is unprecedented because of just how much activism has taken place in the lead up to the election, how engaged the audience has been and how different that audience has been. We're living in a time where people are most connected and have the tools and capacity to be able to make a difference by doing very little. Little in the sense that if you leverage technology, you could communicate faster. Little in the sense that, mobility is much easier now. We can share information a lot more easier. But never has there been a time where there has been a demonstration of so much proof in the eyes of Cameroonians and the world like this time around. So for anyone who took time to watch the purported swearing in of the de facto president of Cameroon, you could, whilst watching those, imagine that most of the people who were sitting in the room knew for sure that the person being sworn in was not the winner. And they knew this because you, Cameroonians across the country and the world, were able to share enough information to demonstrate that the victory was not the victory of the government. Now, there could be arguments being made about how do you justify who won or who lost. But those arguments are arguments that we have gone through, and we're at a point where we know for sure, based on the information that has circulated, based on what several groups have gone through the exercise and have come to the logical conclusion that Mr. Biya didn't win the election, and that the duly elected president is Issa Tchiroma, who unfortunately is now having to flee and flee the country and find security elsewhere. November 12th marked 1 month from the day that Cameroon began its liberation. November 12th was the day that Cameroonians went to October 12th was the day that Cameroonians went to the polls and decided that they want to see change in Cameroon. So we're 30 days from that day. And in those 30 days, we've experienced a lot of challenges. We embarked on the Stop the Fraud campaign, thanks to everyone's help. And it didn't stop the fraud. The fraud continued. And we have seen the number of people that have been killed, the number of people that have been arrested. First of all, it's incumbent on us, and really thank you for the minute of silence. It's incumbent on us to not forget those who are in jail and that they are arrested for no other reason but their political opinion. So J.K.M. Chemeni and Issa Tchiroma Bakary, and several many others that we have been in the last week or in the last few days sharing a lot of information for you all to let's not forget that they are in detention. And I can call the names of leaders or people that we know, but there's 700 or more other people that are still in detention. Yes, a few were set free, a few hundred, but we still have 700 that are in detention, that the collective of lawyers continue to work to try to obtain their liberation. This only intervening factor that led to their arrest was the massive fraud that took place during the elections. So this, in the next week, we're going to be sharing, we're going to be pushing forward the Free Cameroon, the hashtag Free Cameroon campaign, and free all arrested, so that, we're asking for your help on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram, so that we do not forget those who are in detention. Efforts are also going to support them, to support those who are fallen heroes, but also to support those who are in detention now, so that we never forget. And that tells you why this resistance, and this is the first time I'm using this resistance must continue. We have just experienced a constitutional coup d'etat, in the sense that the will of the people subverted by the institutions that are designed to serve the people. So whether it is ELECAM and all its regional and national bodies that transform the vote of the people in the process, then there is the Constitutional Council as well that proclaimed the results. And even worse, the representative of the people, by way of the National Assembly, also witnessed the swearing in of someone who lost the election. Whilst the people of the regime and the CPDM and those of you who support the regime may think that we should move on, I just want you to imagine if, in the game that took place between the Democratic Republic of Congo and Cameroon 2 days ago, in which the Democratic Republic of Congo won 1-0, if at the end of that game, somebody came in, or a match official came in and said, no, the Republic of Cameroon actually won 1-0 against the Democratic Republic of Congo, something that we all saw play out in front of television eyes. Do you really think the people of the Democratic Republic of Congo will sit back and watch Cameroon move on to the World Cup? No. Similar circumstances. We know who won, and yet we have witnessed somebody being sworn in. So what happens when the institutions that are supposed to represent the interests of the people no longer have the trust of the people? Well, the only people who grant authority to these institutions are the people. In our very own constitution, Article 2 of that constitution states or stipulates that sovereignty in every country rests with the people, and that there is no other group of people, no other institution that has sovereignty more than the people. The challenge for us now becomes, how do the people who are sovereign reclaim their authority? And that is I have to be honest with you, that is the million-dollar question that we have been discussing behind the scenes, a lot of conversations, sometimes sleepless nights, trying to figure this out, right? And the obvious challenges here that we see is that in many cases, we're dealing with people who have to go about their daily life to try to put bread on the table, and at the same time are very, very unhappy with the current situation, because those same people voted for change. Their aspirations, the aspirations of the Ben-seeking person, who I even find it painful that 20 years later, Ben-seeking has become one of the symbols of economic activity in our country. Many of them graduates of university, many of them struggling to get 1,000 francs of illegal fuel to put into their business, because that's an investment for them to be able to earn their daily life. And at the same time, their future is being stolen away from them. Their ability to grow, their prosperity is stolen from them simply by a group of people, a handful of people sitting, making a decision that is contrary to the will of the people. And deep down them, they are expecting that you and I and the thousands of Cameroonians who may be listening to us now would just go on as business as usual. Well, the political process of every country doesn't end with elections. It is more than elections. And we want to be clear. Yes, we know that Issa Tchiroma won. We all do know. But the campaign that we're embarking on is more than one person. It's more than Issa Tchiroma. This is about Cameroon. This is about the future. And yes, we would align ourselves with the duly elected president's initiative to get him to rightfully what is his. But with or without Issa Tchiroma, there is an absolute need for transformation in Cameroon. So that, and we were very clear with Mr. Tchiroma that this is going to be a transition, and there will be things that we will do in this transition with you as president. But even if Biya genuinely won the elections, the campaign for the transformation of Cameroon will not end. So yes, whilst we are aligning ourselves with the Tchiroma strategy to get into Italy, we're also embarking on the change that Cameroon needs. That change that Cameroon needs cannot come from us only. It has to come from all of us. And all of us have to be united in this process, because we know, like I said, that we're experiencing a constitutional coup. And I have to tell you all that the coup is still going on. It hasn't ended. The coup is going on because we know that the elected president, the de facto president who was not elected, is on his way out. And because he's on his way out, we know that the coup will continue to transfer power from him to others. So this process doesn't end with that swearing in that took place. No, there are subsequent plans that will continue to be unveiled by the regime that will eventually lead to the transition of power from the 93-year-old Paul Biya who invariably doesn't have all his faculties, but who is part of this complot to essentially transfer power to somebody who, or group of people, a handful of them, that are not duly elected and who have, in essence, usurped authority in the country for the last 7 years and are hoping to do so for the next 7 years. How do we stop them? And that is why we're here. We stop them by doing everything in our power to ensure that this regime is unable to govern, and by so doing leads to a collapse. And with that collapse, we can reclaim the victory of the people. There are lots of initiatives that we're looking at, or lots of possibilities. But it's incredibly important for us to remember that each one of us, each one of you, would have to play a key role in what's going to happen next. We have to, I've said this before, and I said I ended last week's Zoom with, we have to stay united. We have to stay focused. No distractions, united, focused, and never lose sight of our goal, that we have to take out the illegal occupant in Etudi and replace with what we consider largely the will of the people. This is going to mean that people on the ground in Cameroon will have to make sacrifices, just as people in the diaspora will make sacrifices for this to happen. It has to be one with the other, never one without the other. And for those people who think that the diaspora is asking for too much from the people in Cameroon, I ask you to think again, because there is no country that has accomplished what we're trying to accomplish without a significant involvement of the diaspora. And we're not going to stop at anything. For the actors in the regime, I'm going to send you a strong message. Unless you have decided that you're going to live your life in Cameroon and not step out of that country, we are going to find every asset that you have everywhere, and we're going to impound it. We're going to work in every way possible to ensure that you do not have the ability to get visas to travel and get medical attention in different parts of the world. We're going to do everything to keep you all in Cameroon. For we know that come November 21st, you're going to have to pay salaries, and you're looking for, I know that you're currently scouting around for a line of credit. So those are things that we're going to, from the diaspora, we're going to be tackling. And for all the crimes that are being committed, we have an incredible team of lawyers that are working to ensure that you pay for your crimes in every way that is possible, and we'll explore every legal opportunity to ensure that you are held accountable. And let me say this to also the police, the military, we are keeping record of the people who pull the trigger, and some of that has been shared. We know who pulls the trigger everywhere that it happens. That is a crime, because you're embarking an unlawful order, and you will be held accountable as an individual. So every one of this is being tracked and kept, and the time will come where we will take action against each one of you. But it doesn't end in the diaspora. In Cameroon as well, we are keeping track of all your assets, which by constitution should have been declared. And that has not happened since 1996, when this new constitution was adopted. So we are also keeping track of that to justify, because these are the reasons why you all usurp the power of the people to stay in power and protect yourself and your families, whilst millions and millions of Cameroonians are living in purgatory. So these are things that we're embarking on and we're going to be doing. But again, it calls for us, it really does call for us to stay united, knowing fully well, one, again, let me just summarize, it is you, the people, that are sovereign. And because the institutions have subverted the will of the people, it is upon you, us, the people, to ensure that we determine what kind of future we want for Cameroon. And it is certainly not with the institutions that we have now. So therefore, we have to find a way to ensure that we get this government out of power. And this is why this campaign must continue. We haven't come this far to turn back now. We haven't come this far to leave 700 people in detention. We haven't come this far to ignore the lives of 48 people that have been killed as a result of these elections. We haven't come this far to stand by and watch another 7 years of our people languishing in poverty, in purgatory, as I would want to call it, being a Catholic. But with all of that in mind, unity is going to key. We're going to be listening today keenly, because we're having several conversations behind the scene. And I must say that I've never seen a moment where we're building a coalition of organizations from different political spectrums, all united for a common purpose. The typical version of the Cameroonian story has been the ability of the regime to divide us, the ability for sectarianism and ethnicity to come in between us. But at this time, we keep pulling together and building a coalition that we have never seen before. And I hope that we stay the course, even though we may have different grievances, different experience, we come from different backgrounds. There is really one thing that is common that unites us, is the change that we want to see for Cameroon, a peaceful transition to the next republic. So I want to thank you for being here again. Totally going to be listening. At the end of this session, we're going to share with you some thoughts on the next steps. But for us, we cannot do this on our own. We need, and anyone who is here listening from Cameroon, I really want to thank you for your courage, because those of you on the ground bear the brunt, you bear the risk. But I want you to know that you're not alone, that yes, we will stand by you in every way possible, but we're doing this because we have to, and because it is the necessary way in which we're going to change this. We can't wait 20 years later and sit back and look at this moment where we came so close and then stopped. We have to keep going. And for the many of you that are hoping that this movement will be driven by Issa Tchiroma Bakary, I say yes, it will be. But in the meantime, we will keep moving forward and doing what we have to do to isolate this regime until we see a collapse. So let's mark our calendars. It's been 30 days since our liberation began. The next 45 days will be incredibly important for us. The next 45 days could change the trajectory of the history of our country, but it largely depends on you continuing to make the sacrifice, on us standing together and staying united for this one common purpose. I'll pause here to see if Eric is on.
He's going to be on in a few.
All right.
Yes.
So whilst we're waiting for Eric to connect, I would just ask for one of the Project C team members to please share the link of those who would like to join it's there, to join that WhatsApp group. There's a lot of activity that has been going on. I think the WhatsApp group is paused now so that only admins could put information, because we really want to focus on supporting those who are in detention. So we're going to be sharing the photos, the hashtag links, so that you all can be sharing those. Let's keep international attention on the situation in Cameroon. Let's not, whilst the international community will not bring change in Cameroon, the fact that we continue to highlight the Cameroonian story certainly does have an impact on how the government in Cameroon acts. So please continue to share this. Let's keep maximum pressure on the Cameroonian government. I also want to thank everyone who sent out the letters that we circulated to politicians in whatever country you are in. We sent out nearly 200 letters to the embassies in Cameroon and the international media. Systematically, those letters continue to go out. We've put in place a system that sends out those letters to as many contacts as we can make. So if we could multiply our efforts, we're absolutely grateful.
Yeah.
We also need resources, right? We need resources to be able to support the people on the ground in Cameroon, for us to continue to dominate the media as we have done. And I know that there's a lot of repression now on the media in Cameroon, but we will continue to find ways to blunt it. We're also collaborating with several influencers to be able to continue to share the information that is necessary. And these are the things that will keep that government on its toes. It is the one thing that we did effectively before the elections. And we think that if we continue doing it as effectively as we did, that itself will, one, maintain the momentum and awareness of the population. But also, when the time comes, we think that that's what's going to drive our people to drive out this government, because eventually that's where this is going to end. And Lee, if you wanted to add anything, contributions, donations,
Yes.
that in itself is helpful. If you
Yes, I just want to say that we have been able to do so much because of the contributions, and we are going in the upwards of 70,000. We believe that we really should be at 100,000 or more. And so the question that we really have to consider is, what are the different ways? We're going to be starting a campaign, and where we're going to talk about different places, different ways that we can all play in this contribution and fundraising. And so the drive is really on where you want to be. If you want to be at $25 every week, you want to be at $50 or $100. And we definitely have people who have put in thousands. But another area that we have not really explored and that we want to explore is just having fireside, meetings where maybe you don't want your name. Some people are anonymous. But what you can do is you can have a group of people. We know that many of you are able to do that, to just have a group of people who come together and raise funds and then contribute, and will recognize your group. You may not want your name, but you want the name of your organization. And we also have not explored, there are a lot of sympathizers who would donate money, people who own different companies who would donate money. And that's going to happen because of what we do. So we're wanting to form different groups so that we can really drive our fundraising to a different level. Because as we do realize, this situation is not going to end, and we're, what we started hoping that, it would not be the situation we're in now. It's just proving to be, something that is growing, the other direction. And that's not to say that, we're not going to have the right president as we know it. But I think, and I hope that I'm not, so aloof. I just think that a lot of things are on a spiritual basis. And so we're dealing with a level of evil, if I can say, that is really not common. There is this in on earth, but not common. And Cameroon is at a whole different level. And so we're really being called as a people to rise up in a way that we've never had to before, and we don't even understand it. We have tried, and we have been chipping this rock, or this wall, but until we break it, we're not there. And so now is a time when we need to amp ourselves even better. So the money part is very important, and understanding that we all can contribute, we all can be a part, and we all have something to do is important. I think another thing that Ari alluded to is we really need to be aware or cognizant of what is the price? What is the price? And, I want to challenge ourselves to maybe go look up on YouTube, in the history, what it's taken for people to gain independence. So we know that it's not a switch, because the conversations that have been going on is almost like, well, Tchiroma is not here. Here we go again. Well, we can understand the disappointment because we all are feeling it, or we all have felt it. But that should not change the vision. And that should not change our understanding of what we're here for, and that no one person is going to save us, but that we're going to recalibrate, we're going to pivot, we're going to find other ways, because that's the real power. The power is in the people. So I really want to ask us to educate ourselves so we're not wasting energy in the wrong conversation, but knowing that we're really dealing with evil forces. And I hope, sometimes I want to say, please hear my heart and not my head. The people that we have in power have done this for so long. And I want to say we have let them. And we have let them because out of human ingenuity, you don't think that somebody can hurt, or the people who are going to steal, or the people who are going to do the things that have been done at this magnitude. So we all just want the same things, right? And so maybe as a people, we have persevered, we have tolerated, we have believed, we have just been shocked at many times, and we just kept that patience. But we can no longer do that. We have to rise up and willing to pay the price. And the price may not be that, I say that I'm not in Cameroon, and the people in Cameroon really run into danger. They're not even free to say and to do a lot of things that we can. But the price that some of us in the diaspora have to pay is that we may have to ask ourselves, what are the different things that I can do during the week? What is the information I can share? Where is the march? Maybe you can ask, send a note and say, the many people who've been doing that, I want to participate. We have many committees. We have an IT committee. And I just want to share that we're needing more help and support. And we know that many of you are, top professionals at so many different areas and have so much to give of your time. So at the IT, we have an IT committee that we need more people on, because we have all these initiatives that we need specialists to send them. It's going to be faster, and that's what we're needing now is high speed. If we slow down, they say slow is hard, fast is easy. If we slow down, then they trickle out. But if we are fast and we compound things, we're breaking the system. For example, if we have all the information and we are all participating, and in Cameroon more people can go out. Let's say that, we're having a peaceful resistance where we're having a march. And if everybody just stepping out, maybe not going somewhere, but every every city, every town or neighborhood is going out, how many people are you going to arrest? That's where we were. But in order for that to happen, we really have to heighten our communication. So here are the areas that we need. We have an IT committee. Please, if you're a specialist and you know that you can really give of your talents in this area, please go ahead and, text one of the admins so we can add your name on there, because we're going to start meetings this week on how we can help. You can help. Okay. We also have a communications team, because there's a lot of communication that's going out, initiatives that are going out to newsletters. They're going out to different diplomatic agencies. They're going out to other international organizations. There's so many different things that need to be done, and we do need a team. So if you feel like this is an area that you can serve in, we really ask that maybe even while we're speaking, this is a time that you can text admin on WhatsApp. Another committee we have, of course, is the fundraising committee. And I'm sure that we've said this several times, that what I'm most grateful for is that our committee, how the funds are distributed or the banking is very well structured. And so we are not worried about that. What we want is to be able to drive. And I want to be honest with you, we have not really gone out to have these drives. And in order for that to happen, we really need a team. We need a team where we can break up in smaller teams and be able to run this initiation. So we are asking that if you feel this within you, please do text the admins. We also have an advocacy group. And, because there are a lot of things that we're advocating for right now, even in collaboration, always international. So we want you, and the other people just in the US, there's so much work that we can do. We have not really maxed out in this area because we're knowing that we need a bigger team. So I'm going to ask you to please, again, text one of the admins. Ari, did I leave another committee out? Unfortunately.
Advocacy.
Yes, I did advocacy. We did the IT. We need the fundraising and communication. And then okay.
I think that's it. I know we have an operations coordination team that on it.
Yes, that's what I was leaving out, the operations. Because a lot of times we need people who are making sure that everything is working like it needs to, and who are stitching it all together. And so if you feel, listen, we may not have it all. What really has to be said is we want your suggestions. We want you to join, and we want everyone to know that there is something that you can give. Maybe in the project scene, the group, we have almost 1,500 people. We can all be participating to reach out to more people. So that's really where we are right now. And I just really want to thank you because, if you were not coming here every Saturday, if we are not this committed, we would not be even as far as we are. I also want to say that we're talking about all what we want to do. We're talking about, what is wrong. Let's talk about some of the things that we've really accomplished, because this is important. This system is truly being broken. And we know because of all the meetings we've had, the information that we're getting. We do, Judith, I'm sorry, I'm going to break Judith and say, if you can call Eric. I think he's, I know he's traveling, so he can have the right link because he was trying to reach me. Thank you, Judith. Okay. So anyways, I'm talking about what we have accomplished so far. It is so easy to sometimes look at the distance and say, oh my goodness, how are we going to get there? We've never gotten there. And then we start talking about what we know. Oh, this never happened. This is what we did in the past. It's the same thing. Please, I want to appeal to all of us who are agents as we talk to other people, is that no, we are not going back. What is happening now is what has never happened before. We really need to see that. We have to be convicted. It's never happened before. We have never, as a people, been together as one Cameroon. This is huge, as we are now. Never. We've always been separated along religious, tribal lines, and all these different things. I have to say that, even we used to have in the US a Cameroonian students organization. I can't remember, I can't remember. But now we have so many different tribal groups. So that's the division. And we're proud of it, but that is the division. We have allegiance to little communities as opposed to the country. So then what happens is that they kept double downing on us, if I could say that. And that's how they have had the power they've had. But this time, we took upon ourselves. I am speaking to a lot of youths. I was talking to an adopted son of mine who is 21, and who, let's be honest, he happens to be from the South, from the deep South, and from where Biya is from. And he who is in communication with many people say, we don't see that. We are talking about one Cameroon, and they want a future that is bright for Cameroon. So we're talking about a different space. So that's the first thing, is everything literally has changed because we have come together as a people. Okay, the next thing that has happened is we have never gotten to a place where we're able to use technology the way we are now. Not even the last time. You know, it's been so impressive, and I'm humbled almost every day as I'm, you know, people are sharing different things. And I was on TikTok, and we had probably 500 or 1,000 youths from Cameroon who were having a meeting and planning. Then a friend of mine sent me another one who is right here with Project C, sent me another link where they are actually contributing money. And I want you guys to listen to what they're doing. They are calling for other military people and saying, they've contributed money, and they're saying, we're going to pay you 3 times your salary. So you should change. That is amazing. So there's so much that we can do, and we're far ahead. Here's another thing that's happening. This government has never gotten to its knees and be shaken the way it has been shaken. They have spent, I dare say, up in $1 billion, almost insinuated, of money just to get the president just to go in. And here's the thing, we've never had this. They've gone after people, they've gotten it. But they have been trying to get Tchiroma. They have not gotten it. We have to celebrate every little win. They have not. Yes, because of the security crisis that he has, it has made it very challenging for him to communicate. But make no mistake that he will. Make no mistake, as Eric is going to tell us, he is more excited. He's more determined than ever before. We need to hold this fire. Here's the other thing that is happening that we need to note. There is great chaos in Cameroon, and there's anyone who is here representing this government. We know that there's great chaos. There was a call coming in from some high-end office to somebody else here in the US in panic because they're tapping everyone. They are frazzled. Offices that are supposed to be doing work for people are not, because the main objective right now on the table, their priority is to do what? Their priority is to be able to silence the Cameroonian people. But social media and all the different ways so that's the tug of war. And so we're breaking the system. Last but not least, let's look at it for what it is. We've never had them, and I would say it, and that's not what is going to bring it together. We have never had the military as divided as it is. Never. And to the point where now they are building an army within the army and trying to take weapons away from certain people. Well, not certain people, but certain factions of the army because they can't trust them. What does all this mean? It is total chaos. Please, let's go back and look at other histories and how dictatorships have been brought down. Exactly what is happening now. And if we don't recognize that, and if we don't understand what we have done and what we are capable of doing, we are going to be in a dismal situation, because let's just, for the sake of it, what will happen in another 7 years? As we speak, they're working a machine to lock things down worse than ever before. So in 7 years, for those who are dreaming and thinking, oh, in 7 years, let's just let him die. Die? So who's good? Well, he's not going to last another 7 years. Who is going to take over? They are fastening their seats. They're coming up with other ways and partnering with the wrong people to be able to do this. And so what's going to happen to the youth? I think of when I was in my early 20s or maybe 18 in Cameroon. You know, we were not as agile as the youths today. We have to give them credit for what they're doing, how they're maximizing. But what's going to happen to the future? What's going to happen to the fight? What's going to happen to their children? So, you know, I want to say and plead with us. Meanwhile, some of us are not standing in front of the bullet right now. Those of us who are not, we need to wake more people up. We need to be aware. The first power is the power of the people. The first power is our vision, is our voice together as one. That's the first thing. And if we don't think that collective power even in the diaspora, can break. That's what they want us to believe. And make no mistake, I'm so sorry that I keep going on, but I would say make no mistakes that all these comments that we're seeing on social media that is talking about, they're not, and they're laughing and saying, you guys thought this was going to happen. Again, that's how a dictatorship is being brought down. They're paying people. Here's what we have in Cameroon, and I'm going to shut this down and pass it over to you. Here's what we have we have to talk, we have to stay on the real conversation. Here's what we have in Cameroon. Over 90% of the people have been shrunk to abstract poverty. It's a mechanism. It's a system that has brought people to their knees so they can be controlled. And so when somebody gets something from the government, they're almost so grateful. When is their right? We have been so wiped out that our reasoning has changed. That's next. Now, also, I want to say, I'm going to let it go here. I want to say that not only have they broken this people down, maybe 10% or maybe less of the people who are making it have sold their souls to the devil. Because in order for you to exist in the way, you have to be steeped in bribery. In order for you to get this contract that you can be successful, you have to be steeped in bribery. You have to do all kinds of things that people do, rituals. Cameroonian people, this is the test. I'm not going to say it's from God, but this is the test that we are wired to win. We're wired to fight for ourselves. We are being called for our maturity. We have to mature as a people and stop cynicism. This is not, we're not here to be entertained. We're here to fight for people who have no voice, and it should never stop. That's where we are right now. And that's why we're on this calls for hours. We all are. And we need to spread the word. We need to galvanize. Every single one of us can say, this week, I'm going to talk to 5 people. We are going to do the hard work for people to see what's going on. We cannot sit here and eat our burgers when the kids in Manfei, I went to school in Okoyong, who have nothing, and their kids could be brighter than my kids. It's a fact. Let's think about it. They're not any difference from my son. The only difference is their geographical location. And I'm taking no credit for why I'm here. It's not because I'm so smart or I did something. It's the grace of God. So every one of us owes it to every Cameroonian who is not here. We cannot sleep. We will fight until it's end. The system is already being broken, and we together will finish the job. That's where we are.
Thank you, Eddie. You are fired up. And that's what we need everybody to be. That's where we want everybody to be, fired up. So this conversation about, oh, we're losing momentum, or we're not putting this behind us. The fight continues. And thank you for framing this conversation in the way that it should be. Each one of us must find deep within us that ability to fight, to make the sacrifices now, because this is what is needed for this to happen. It cannot be one. Please do not see yourself outside this. Be an actor, not a spectator. And an actor means you do what you can, where you are, and with whatever means that you have. Again, this whole conversation about separating the diaspora from Cameroon now, we've blurred those lines. We're working together closely with people on the ground. As I sit here, I'm communicating with people on the ground in Cameroon who are doing incredible work, taking enormous risk that shouldn't be a risk at all, because the expression of one's choices, it's fundamental, universal right that we all have to choose who we want to be a leader. And in the context of Cameroon, that choice has been taken away, and people are being, arrested for just making their choice. And I see that Eric has come on, and we want to make sure that we go to Eric to give us a sense of what is happening. But theme for today is unity. It's justice and unity for all. Justice for those who are arrested, justice for those who have lost their lives, because when we bring change, that itself will be the justice that is needed. It will be recognition of the lives. Justice for those who are being intimidated now because of their political expression. And this is unacceptable. We have to stop this. Um, and justice for the next generation of Cameroonians that we must not allow grow in the circumstances that our generation has found ourselves. That responsibility is on us, and we have to fight this to the very end. Hi, Eric.
Hi, Henry. How are you?
Good, 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 good. It looks like it looks like you have a moment of relief there, because I know what the last few days have been. So
Yes, I
it
had to.
may be
Mhm.
up to you to give us a sense of, we've been talking a lot about why we must stay united and why
Mm.
we must look beyond just this is more than one person. And I know we all want to see more coming from Issa Tchiroma and his team, but this is about Cameroon, and this is about a future that or dreams that have been deferred, and yet we must work now to ensure that we accomplish the dreams of millions of Cameroonians to live and grow in a free and prosperous country.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and my apologies for being late. I was totally confused about the time. I'm here, well, right now at the extreme west end of Africa, and in a place called Sali at the beach. And I'm not in the beach because I wanted to come and swim. No, it's just to change a change of pace and atmosphere. And uh, and of course, I've been on the phone ever since. I've been on the phone constantly. I didn't realize that the time had even gone past, and certainly didn't even think that it was 3 o'clock yet. I'm looking at the time now. It's 4:15 here where I am. Um, and one of the reasons I've been on the phone is trying to explain some distortions in the news that apparently came from me. And this is not the first time this has happened. You're talking about us working together, but they are spoilers. I don't know whether they're planted by the government, or spoilers out of ignorance, or spoilers who just don't want things to work. But it's extremely difficult to have engage with people you believe you're in the same battle, and we're trying to make sure that we're at the same level of information. And then there are people who deliberately take whatever information one puts out there, um, and distort it. Just to give you the example I was dealing with right now, someone said I had difficult to have engage with people you believe you're in the same battle, and we're trying to make sure that we're at the same level of information. And then there are people who deliberately take whatever information one puts out there, and distort it. Just to give you the example I was dealing with right now, someone said I had said something to the effect that we're willing to go all the way to the presidency of Cameroon at all costs, including military action, bloodshed, 4,000 people. I think they gave a figure of the number of people that we are totally indifferent to if they died. I mean, how, one, I'm a non-violent person. I have never advocated for violence, never in my life. But now I'm having to try to explain a sentence that somebody takes the fact that we said we are committed to go all the way at all costs, takes that to say, and then fits in these figures. It's very difficult when I know that if I said we're willing to go all the way, it must have meant that we are committed to this fight. Couldn't mean anything more than that. And then to go out and say we're willing to do battle, we're willing to sacrifice 4,000 lives, we're willing to shed blood and all of that stuff, it couldn't be further from the truth. But I'm just saying that because I just came out of trying to deal with it a few minutes ago, and the people who say this, you start wondering on whose side they are. Anyway, just so we're all up to speed, and I now have to be a little careful in the choice of my words, but I think the most important thing to say is this struggle is only just beginning. This struggle is only just beginning. Let me tell you why. When I wake up and I think, should I get to work today? Should I stay on this agenda? And I have to remind myself that if I don't, if we all don't, then the leadership in Cameroon today will settle back in its old ways. They're not going to do anything new. As a matter of fact, what they're most afraid of is any sense of new ideas coming into the mix. So they're going to settle back in their old ways. They'll ensure that no new ideas come into the structure of governance of the country. And what will we have? 7 years down the road, they would have perfected the art of staying in power. 7 years down the road, they would have perfected the art of staying in power. It's not in 7 years that they'll turn around and say, oh, we've stolen enough money, we have, we're wealthy enough to live 3 lives with the wealth we've accumulated, so maybe we can go away now. Or maybe we can organize free and fair elections. Or maybe we should change a system that has worked for us. If anybody thinks they're going to do that, then you've got another thing coming. So they're not going to do that in the next 7 years. And after 7 years, they're not going to change. They're not going to change to do anything different. So we either stop them now, or we allow them to succeed in staying in power and be prepared for another at least 14 years or more. So I wake up in the morning thinking, okay, what can I do to stop them now? I know that Mr. Tchiroma also feels the same. He also feels the same, and I say this at least with authority, with authority. He feels the same. He People talk about, want to know why he's not talking. He will talk when he can and when he needs to. Okay, we know that there's a resistance movement on that needs to be motivated, but if the demand for change is not as motivating as it ought to be, I don't know what is. So my urge, what I want to urge us to do is for each of us to play their role and say, no, the status quo is totally unacceptable. We've got to keep moving on. And it cannot be one man's battle. It cannot be Chiroma's battle, alone. He has to provide leadership, yes, but it cannot be his battle alone. We have to see that all of us are a part of it. And there are lots of things we can do. I had a 2-hour meeting this morning from 3 hours, from 5 to 8 o'clock this morning, with a group of Cameroonians across the US and in Mexico, in Germany, in Canada. They're all over the place. And they have come up with their own plan. They've come up with an amazing plan. And you'd be amazed how similar to Project C. You'd be amazed how similar to Project C their plan is. So I was really happy to hear that, and happy to note what it is they're doing. Included in their midst, in that group, were a couple of former military officers in the US who are also, making a contribution based on their knowledge of strategy and tactics. That's the kind of contribution they're making. So everyone sitting anywhere, standing anywhere, can make a contribution. In their midst, it's somebody. One of the persons in their group he's a cryptologist. So he wants to bring that knowledge on encryption, on encrypting communication. He wants to bring that to the works and do. And we're discussing last night and saying, or early this morning, and saying, talk to the legislators in Illinois or wherever it is you are. So everybody, every one of us can do something small, and believe me, everything small adds up. Everything small. Cameroon is totally out of the picture in international news. They've talked more in any given day. They talk more about Côte d'Ivoire, which had elections around the same period. We had elections on the 12th of October. They had it on the 25th of October. The Ivorian elections are now history. They've been covered, reported on, analyzed by the international media. And, Côte d'Ivoire is back to business, doing its business, respected by the international community in some ways, because, it didn't end up in bloodshed, it didn't end up in bloody crisis. And that encourages investors to seriously consider Côte d'Ivoire. No investor will go to Cameroon under the circumstances, not in the next 7 years. In other words, our economy is not going to change much in the next 7 if these people stay in office. But in Côte d'Ivoire, they will. There will be a difference. And it is these things we have to think about. If we can get that country back to normal, if people can see that we are doing, the institutions are working, because the institutions in Cameroon are not. Côte d'Ivoire, even though Ouattara has, he's played some games on the system, but he's made it all look legitimate. And they're back to work. and that economy is growing again, or will grow. But it's not the case in Cameroon. And can we be satisfied with that? I don't think so. So each of us talking to the legislature in your state, talking to some media, even local media in wherever you are, even local media, to just throw in some, bring attention to bear on what is going on in Cameroon. You can do that. Or just offer a write-up and analysis to some local paper that often is looking for material. And if someone, can you imagine, see, I saw Cameroon in 1981 in upstate New York. I was in Syracuse and I woke up one morning and I picked up a paper, and opening a few pages into that newspaper, I saw mention of Cameroon. And at the time, the title was A Prosperous Nation in a Sea of Poverty. It was a Wall Street Journal article back in 1981. And nothing has ever driven my determination to go back home as that article. That's why I remember it as if it were yesterday. If you go into the archives of the Wall Street Journal, go to somewhere in late 1980, early 81, you'll find that story. So it can be anywhere. This was in upstate New York. It's true, the Wall Street Journal is a national paper. But way back then, I saw it in that. So all of us can do something, and that's essentially my message. And believe me, Mr. Tchiroma is willing to engage with groups of us anytime, he said, anytime, so that he can not only hear from us, but also we can hear from him. He's willing to do that. So with this group I was talking to this morning, the only thing I've asked them to do is to download a software called Zangi. And as soon as they do as a group, I will get them to talk to Mr. I told Mr. Tchiroma this morning when I spoke to him, I said, would you want to talk to, he will talk to groups of anybody we recommend. So yes, he can do that. And I don't know, I hope somebody doesn't take this to interpret it and put it out there as a problem or as me disclosing things I should not disclose. But this is fact, and I'm willing to take that. I'm willing to take the heat for any of that stuff. Except, anybody who says I'm encouraging violence. I never have, will never encourage violence. And please, those of you, if there's anyone in here who takes it back to the government or to enemies of the cause, to derail what we're trying to do, well, think about your country. I mean, I'm not even sure that I'll end up I have enough time in my years on earth to go spend any quality time in Cameroon anymore. So this fight is for future generations, for our children. Really, I say that with, in good faith and with my heart. So I just want to reinforce what Ari said. Let's stay together. Let's do the right thing. Cameroon doesn't deserve to be where it is today. It does not deserve to be where it is today. And I challenge anybody to say the contrary, because we can prove it. You can't go to Cotonou and find one laid-back coastal laid-back town with a few tarred roads of some years ago. Go to Cotonou now and see boulevards and see monuments and see greenery and see what is it about Cotonou that we can't get in Yaoundé. I mean, Cotonou is even it's a far-fetched example from Cameroon. Go to N'Djamena. How can N'Djamena overtake Yaoundé in its growth? A country that was destroyed by war for so many years and only started rebuilding in 2002 when the first gush of oil came out in Chad. And then they started using their resources meaningfully and are rebuilding that country. Why should that be the case and not with us in Cameroon? So there's enough to make us angry, though I was telling this same group this morning, the core group of Project C, that I think we're not angry enough. Maybe people are not angry enough. Maybe your contribution to this effort is to make people angry, angrier than they are now. I think I recalled it. He said, he didn't say angry, he said they're not, I don't know, you remind me of.
Fired up enough.
They're not fired up enough. Exactly. So please, your contribution can be to fire up people. But we need to be fired up enough. We need to be. And if we're fired up enough, actually we'll be putting pressure on Tchiroma to stand there as a leader, not the other way around. Not him trying to find people that he will lead. Because that's what's happening now. He's being put pressure to do something so that people can come. No, it should be the other way around. People should be there saying, but where is he? So we need to be fired up enough. Sorry, I've taken so much time. I really, it's because I just came out of this, disheartening exchange about violence and so on. I hope I've said something that makes some sense. Elizabeth, everyone else. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Eric. I know we've spoken a lot in English, but je tiens à remercier tous nos amis de l'expression française qui sont avec nous aujourd'hui. Merci beaucoup pour le temps que vous avez accordé pour ce programme. Comme Eric a dit et comme Elisabeth a dit, cette résistance contre...
Arrête, tu voulais que je dise quelque chose en français alors? C'est ça?
We have Herman who was going to speak, by the way. So he's of Cameroon. So yes.
Merci beaucoup, Harry. J'ai bien suivi Alain. Et si vous avez suivi Elisabeth, nous aimerions que les francophones, les anglophones, qu'ils comprennent l'essence de la communication d'aujourd'hui. L'essence de la communication d'aujourd'hui, c'est de ne pas penser qu'un momentum serait en train d'être perdu. C'est de ne pas penser un seul instant que cette bataille reposerait sur Tchiroma ou reposerait pour un homme. C'est la bataille, c'est un engagement citoyen de tous les Camerounais. Et il est important, il est même capital pour toute personne, même étant du gouvernement, de comprendre à quel point les Camerounais ont pris à cœur d'obtenir ce qu'ils ont choisi. Si vous avez suivi aujourd'hui, le thème, c'est autour de la justice, c'est autour de, très important, l'unité. Il est très important que les Camerounais comprennent. On n'a jamais vu des Camerounais aussi unis, nordistes, du Grand Sud, des anglophones. Et ça a été un point capital. Et au point où nous en sommes, il serait capital vraiment que tous les Camerounais, unité et justice, ça je voudrais répéter encore. Il serait important que tous les Camerounais comprennent qu'on est, oui, on a done. On n'a pas terminé encore avec la forfaiture qui s'est passée. Et on voudrait que les Camerounais, au-delà de tout ce qui peut être considération individuelle, soient disposés à jouer un rôle, aussi minime soit-il. Mobilisation au niveau du Cameroun. Et on voudrait que même les personnes du gouvernement puissent les challenger. S'il y a quelqu'un du gouvernement qui pense que le Cameroun est sur la bonne voie, qu'il puisse présenter de façon claire, de façon structurée, de façon même chiffrée. Éric était en train de comparer avec le Bénin. Est-ce que ça fait plaisir vraiment de voir qu'aujourd'hui le Cameroun puisse être mis sur une balance avec le Bénin, avec le Tchad? Il parlait de 1981, quand le New York, je ne sais plus, c'était le New York, c'était ça, Eric? Le New York
Oui,
Post?
le Wall Street Journal.
Le Wall Street Journal présentait le Cameroun. Et je me souviens de cette présentation où on parlait de différents pays et autour du Cameroun, il a été dit, c'est tellement le leader d'Afrique. Ça, c'était les chiffres de la Banque mondiale de la fin des années 70. Je répète encore, certainement le leader d'Afrique. Donc, tous les indicateurs montraient qu'on ne voyait pas de quelle façon le Cameroun pourrait échapper à cette performance historique. Bon, au point où on en est, les statisticiens, les économistes qui avaient fait une telle présentation aujourd'hui, s'ils reviennent, certainement, ils vont se demander qu'est-ce qui s'est passé. Et c'est tout ce qu'on demande, c'est tout ce qu'on souhaite. que la diaspora se joigne aux Camerounais. Eric l'a dit tout à l'heure, ce n'est pas un mouvement violent, ce n'est pas un appel à insurrection ou quoi que ce soit, c'est un appel citoyen, à ce que les Camerounais puissent se prendre en main, en charge. Je ne sais pas si je suis en train de reprendre exactement ce qu'Eric était en train de dire, mais ça, c'est la vision de Project C.
Absolument. Absolument.
Voilà,
Merci beaucoup.
Merci. Montréal, on a des Camerounais à Montréal, on a des Camerounais aux États-Unis, on a des Camerounais en Europe, on a des Camerounais en Afrique même et dans la diaspora africaine. Si tout le monde se décide à jouer le rôle que Project C va lui présenter, les différentes commissions, l'engagement, nous avons des capacités, nous avons des talents, nous avons des compétences. Si tout le monde se décidait au-delà, et je vais insister un peu, au-delà des personnes, parce qu'on a souvent rencontré des personnes qui s'identifient au Cameroun en termes de Tchiroma, en termes de Paul Biya, en termes de Camto, en termes de ceci. Il est très important d'aller au-delà et de penser Cameroun, de penser peuple. Les personnes qui sont sorties marcher, les personnes qui ont manifesté ne le faisaient pas pour un homme. Elles le faisaient parce qu'elles ressentaient dans leur chair une certaine violence, un certain mal-être. Quand on a des Camerounais qui prennent la route du désert, ce n'est pas joyeux. Et c'est pourquoi toute la diaspora devrait comprendre, tout le Cameroun devrait comprendre que c'est un travail citoyen, c'est un travail commun. Et si on y arrive, c'est la somme, c'est quelqu'un qui disait que c'est plusieurs 5 francs qui font 1 milliard. Si on arrive à cela, je ne voudrais pas être long, c'est ça que j'ai pris et je voudrais reprendre l'essence de ce que Harry, Elisabeth et Eric étaient en train de dire. S'il nous plaît, sentons-nous concernés financièrement, côté technologique, côté communication, côté diplomatique. Beaucoup de Camerounais ne savent pas tout ce que Dieu a déposé en eux en termes de capacité. Beaucoup se minimisent aussi, ils minimisent l'impact qu'ils peuvent avoir au niveau du Cameroun. Donc, c'est cet appel-là, que tout le monde soit disposé, disponible pour pouvoir avancer ensemble vers un objectif commun qui est déjà en train d'être présenté. On peut oublier beaucoup de choses, on peut dire au-delà, autour de ce thème, on peut dire beaucoup de choses, mais ça, c'est vraiment l'essence. Si on rassemble ceux qu'on connaît, on discute avec, en 2023, le Québec, le Cameroun est devenu la première communauté d'immigration au Québec. 12 000 immigrants sur 24 000. Vous imaginez un peu ça. Donc, je reprends un peu le chiffre. Sur 24 000 nouveaux immigrants au Québec, par l'immigration normale, il y avait 12 000 Camerounais. Pour la première fois, le Cameroun a battu la France. Le Cameroun a battu les pays maghrébins. C'est dire comment les gens, ils sont mal, ils veulent quitter le Cameroun. Et il faudrait que ce message-là soit entendu. Lorsqu'on a un gouvernement qui, s'il comprend ce que ça signifie, il va peut-être se poser la question pourquoi tout le monde est en train d'essayer de partir. Même aux États-Unis, le nombre de Camerounais après l'élection qui ont dit est-ce que la green card, la loterie américaine, n'est pas lancée cette année parce qu'ils sentaient que je dois partir. Et ce n'est pas un bon message. Et on parlait de 12 000 uniquement pour le Québec. Qu'en est-il de l'Ontario? Qu'en est-il de l'Alberta? Qu'en est-il du Nouveau-Brunswick, toutes les autres provinces? Qu'en est-il des États-Unis? Donc, cette émigration de masse-là révèle un certain mal-être et on peut encore continuer à travailler avec des Camerounais. On peut les rassembler et dire que ce n'est pas fini, ce n'est pas perdu. Non, ce n'est pas fini, loin de là. Passons-nous le mot que ce n'est pas fini. Passons-nous le mot que ce n'est pas perdu. Passons-nous le mot que le Cameroun, il est connu que le Cameroun a une intelligence, un QI, un quotient intellectuel au-dessus de la moyenne. Donc les Camerounais sont capables de créer, ils sont capables d'inventer, ils sont capables de réparer. Et c'est dans cette logique-là qu'on veut se trouver. Des gens qui créent, des gens qui inventent, des gens qui réparent dans tous les domaines. Ils créent dans le domaine technologique, dans le domaine social, ils créent dans le domaine culturel. Et on les retrouve partout. Et il ne faut plus que les autres pays soient en train de bénéficier de toute cette ressource, de toute cette compétence, alors que nous pouvons la mettre au service de notre projet. Si nous pouvons jouer un rôle, c'est de communiquer, de se passer le mot, de rencontrer d'autres Camerounais, de bâtir un projet ensemble. Nous croyons que des idées lumineuses peuvent arriver. Voilà Elon Musk, il est africain. Et il a immigré aux États-Unis et il est devenu le plus riche du monde, né en Afrique, bâti en Afrique. Et il y en a comme ça qui ne se connaissent pas jusqu'où est-ce que Dieu les a dotés d'une capacité spéciale. Donc, au-delà de ce que beaucoup attendent, c'est sûr que vous l'aurez compris, on ne voudrait pas recentrer tout autour de Issa Tchiroma. C'est sûr que c'est la présidentielle qui nous a rassemblés. C'est sûr que c'est l'objectif, mais il est important d'aller au-delà. Il est important de savoir le projet qui est en train d'être bâti. Donc, je voudrais repasser la parole à Harry. C'est comme si Harry avait dit quelque chose, ou Elisabeth ou Eric. Merci, ce serait bien apprécié, mais peut-être de recentrer encore où est-ce qu'on va.
Merci beaucoup, Herman. As we had mentioned earlier on today, we would also be listening. We would ask anyone, put your questions. If you have any questions, suggestions, comments, please keep the conversations going in the chat. But we will also be, based on our plan at this point, opening to have a conversation with our audience, especially those of you who are joining us from Cameroon. It's incredibly important that we hear from you. And based on these conversations, the next question we want to ask is, so what is it that we are going to do, or what is it that each one of us will do this week to move this conversation forward? Because this has to be about each one of us. So what is it that you are going to do this week, or I will be doing this week, with reference to pushing this campaign forward? That is happy to open this up for any conversations. Is that the plan? Yeah.
Yes. We have gotten some of the best ideas, and just has been able to enrich some of our meetings because of questions that you have asked or ideas that you've given. And I think I still remember was a few weeks ago, and so if we do not, talk and have these conversations, then, it's almost like we're losing talents in, for lack of a better way. And so if you have any questions or, ideas and just joining the discussion, please, this is the time. Let's discuss what's going up. And then I know Ari is going to round up on some of the initiatives and what we're going to be doing, because we're going to be doing a lot, yes.
So if you have a contribution to make, this is the moment to do that.
Yes.
And thereafter, we'll move on to rounding up.
And I don't know, Ari, if they can also just put their hand up and ask the question. Sometimes
yes,
if you're
absolutely.
not in the position, please know that you can just raise your hand, and yeah. And while that is happening, I wanted to say something. Eric talked about this conversation that he was having, and how he asked them to quote Tchiroma, and then he said maybe he's saying too much. And I just want to say that we are working, and I know, Eric, you're working, and I think one of the things that we may say it's cultural. I beg to differ. A lot of times I say the African culture is studying what happened before the colonials came in. Before we had the colonials in Africa, that was the culture. What we do call culture now has really been compromised because due to the killings, due to how we had to function because we were slaves in our own land. That's really what that was. What we call culture has changed. We changed a lot of things. But what I want to talk about is that we're being suppressed so much that the level of secrecy and what is to be said and what is not to be said, it's so blurred. And so the illusion that if something is mentioned, like people are speaking to Tchiroma, because this has come up, or they saying people are contacting, we're saying too much, we're not. We want the Cameroonian government to understand that we know that silence is not inaction. And so Tchiroma not speaking does not mean, but it is important to know that Tchiroma is in contact with a lot of influential people as Cameroonians and outside of Cameroon. That is the weapons. Those are the weapons we have. We may not have the machines and all of that, which is irrelevant today. So it is important for us to say the things we're doing. It's important for us to have open conversations and to let them know that we know, to let Ngongo, Ayolo, to let them know that they're thieves. I think Ngongo has a house that is 10 times the White House. Guys, where is the money coming from? It's if we're not outraged and just thinking of what we can do and galvanize more, it's our money. I don't even know that he's qualified for whatever position he has, but we need to say it loud, because Ngongo, Ayolo, and Chantal, these are thieves who are thriving on the oil money. They're thriving on our treasury. They have mines, people coming into, they have private contracts. They have issued governments, officials as ministers, and even killed a minister because he did not want to be involved in some of these dealings that were going on. So, I am of the opinion that, and I do understand that there's sensitivity for some people who are in Cameroon, but I am of the opinion that we need to call things out for what they are and call it by name, because Biya is an elderly citizen who is being abused. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. That's not what I'm saying. And he did not create the situation. But I am saying he's not even aware of what's going on. We have a gangster members who have come in to take over, and we're just giving Biya all this power. And these people are continuing to do what they're hiding, because we're not calling them by name. So they're hiding behind. So we need to have articles, which is what we're going to have. We're going to call them, we're going to talk about them, and we're going to let people know that, yes, Tchiroma will have conversations with Cameroonians who have lived outside of Cameroon for so long, who have great influence, great talent that will impact what they're doing. And what thieves do not like is light. They don't want to be seen. So we're going to shine the light in our conversation so they're seen.
Yeah. Thank you, Ellie. I see some questions coming up, and the first one that I'll just quickly tackle, we'll talk about the committees as asked by Mr. Akum here. But the question of what do you think about Ben Modo's position for change in Cameroon? Let me just state that categorically, we at Project C will focus on what we at Project C are doing or have done best and will continue to do. We're focused essentially on the key things. One, educate, make every Cameroonian at home or abroad, young, old, urban, rural, understand what the stakes are that is the education that we're going to be embarking on. Everyone has to know what the stakes are and how they can play a part. Two, we're going to mobilize, inspire ordinary people to do extraordinary things, whether it's, and especially the youth and the unsophisticated, or the people that we sometimes think are unsophisticated. We're going to use simple language on how to join and support this resistance at all levels. We're also going to work effectively to delegitimize this government, emphasizing on what we call a constitutional coup, with Mr. Biya, the usurper-in-chief, being the de facto president of Cameroon. And we're going to sustain visibility. We'll make sure that the world watches what's happening in Cameroon, and we'll keep the crisis in the headlines. And these are the key things that we are going to be doing. Other people have their part to play and will do what they have to do. We're going to use all peaceful means to make sure that this government collapses. That's what we are going to do. And so I cannot really comment on what Mr. Ben Modo's approach is, but that's not what we are embarking on. Obviously, there are various groups around the world, in and out of Cameroon, that really want to see this regime go. And so we will let's focus on what we are doing, and I will not get venture into what others are doing. But that's the position that we will take with reference to this.
Et aussi, Arrêt, je voudrais ajouter que on dépense beaucoup d'énergie à regarder ce qui se fait ailleurs. Ça, c'est un problème qui est propre aux Camerounais souvent, de regarder énormément à côté. Il serait très important pour chacun, comme nous avons insisté un peu, de savoir quel rôle il peut jouer, comment il peut l'apporter. Et si nous sommes ici ensemble, c'est pour bâtir quelque chose ensemble autour de l'unité. Parce qu'il a été remarqué que très souvent, on a beaucoup d'énergie pour s'occuper, en tout cas tirer là où ça ne compte pas. Je ne sais pas si vous comprenez ce que je veux dire. À quoi ça me servirait maintenant de m'occuper de la bataille de quelqu'un alors que nous avons nos moyens, nous sommes en train d'insister un peu, nous avons une force diplomatique, nous avons une force intellectuelle, nous avons une force de création incommensurable et nous pouvons nous focaliser dessus. Je ne sais pas si je peux aller à une autre question. Quelqu'un a parlé des différents comités dont Project C a parlé. Nous voudrons juste rappeler, c'est communication et IT, c'est finance, c'est diplomatie et c'est judiciaire. C'est bien ça, Arrêt.
Oui.
Donc, ce sont les quatre commissions, les quatre comités. Si vous savez des compétences, des capacités, des ressources, un agenda, un carnet d'adresses, est au fait capable d'intervenir et de fournir des assets, des actifs suffisants dans ce domaine, c'est bienvenu. Merci.
Yeah, thank you, Herman. Joining those committees are incredibly important for us. We need many more hands, as I say. We'll do lighter work, but we really have to multiply ourselves for us to take on the big task that we have ahead of us. So please volunteer to be one of the committees, and you can just join the WhatsApp group. Or even go to Project Cameroon website. There's possibilities for you to also join. Go to projectcameroon.com and you can be able to join from there. I see Kenneth. Kenneth, you have your hand up, so I'm going to bring you up to speak here.
Okay, thank you. I just want to say that whether we like it or not, we are at war. We are at war. And to be toying with words here and there, trying to draw a fine line and this and that, it is crystal clear that starting from Paul Biya at the top to Atanganji, what's the other one? Ngongo Ferdinand and Vonda Ayulo and the rest of them, Laura Eso, they have declared war upon us. It is crystal clear. So, because I mean, we've used to people dragging people in a strange direction. Eric Chinger as spokesperson, whatever he says and whoever chooses to interpret it, however they interpret it, honestly, that's too much mileage, because there are people out there who will drag you in a certain direction. There's no need to fall into their dragnet. Let's be focused. We know that we will know what we are here for. We want this region to fall, and quite frankly, honestly, by any means necessary. I mean, honestly, they've declared war upon us. I mean, these are thieves. These are, I mean, broad daylight armed robbers, mafia dons of a totally different order. They're using the apparatus of government, everything available in their, at their everything available that they can use to utilize to kill us, to suppress us. And I mean, this has been going on for way too long. So each and every one of us has to rise in whichever way, whatever capacity that we have, and do what we have to do. Why is somebody asking in a Project C meeting talking about Ben Modo? I mean, my goodness. You know, we are here to play each and every one of us our role. If Ben Modo says he's going to use arms, excuse me, and is recruiting an army, let Ben Modo go ahead and recruit an army. We will work behind the scenes. I mean, there are people who work behind the scenes with him. So what? Even if he was with Gongo before, whatever the case may be, whoever else has not been somewhere before. Paul Biya was a member of UPC in France in 1959. He's the different man today. So let us do what it takes to uproot this regime out of HUD. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how they get out of there. The fight has started. We are on it. I just thought I should really just express myself like that. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Kenneth, for that. I know we've been working, we've been on this journey together since the last few months, really toiling and thinking and strategizing on ways that we can get this regime. I'm also not. Somebody said that we should move to action. There's too much talking, and this is why we're asking for more people to join the committees, right? We need more people. If you want results, don't just talk that we're talking. When we come to this and ask for more people to join, it's because we want to see results. And if you want to see results, don't just talk or don't just criticize. Join us, get involved. Deep in one of the committees, sit for 3 hours and 4 hours strategizing for the action that has been taken. Because the most of the work that is done, let me also say this, most of the work that is done is not here. It's not seen here. It's not something that we would stand and tell you. Every initiative, I get calls, people calling me, do this and do that and do that. Those things are happening as time goes on, and those are the things that are making a difference. Those are the things that is creating the panic in Yaoundé. So maybe we can tell you every action that's being done for obvious reasons, but if you're part of one of these committees, you'll be taking action. We need, talking about if you want to bring down the regime, this is a regime, we know how much money they have been spending. How do we counter? We need to be able to generate the resources that are necessary for us to counter. If somebody just spoke about social media, and this is why we created this communications team, so that we can leverage social media to be able to do the naming and shaming, which is a strategy that in modern day technology can actually make a difference. Remember that I said, anybody who in Cameroon who is in government, in leadership, we will hold you accountable. We would ensure that you don't have the ability when you fall sick to travel out of the country and go find treatment somewhere else because of your involvement in crimes against humanity in Cameroon. So there's a legal team that's working on this. We have a communications team. The IT team is that we have to leverage technology in this fight. Technology is key. The wars of the future are not going to be won by just the guns that we have or the ammunition that we have. It's also going to be one leveraging technology and information. And so that combination of those two is one way in which we're going to make the regime fragile. But then there's also other committees that you can get involved in. The fundraising part is crucially important because that is going to support everything else that we're doing. And we continue to ask for your help and support. Let me make sure that I do not have any hand up. Eric, please feel free if you want to join in and
Hello?
Yes, Eric.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, Eric, we can hear you if you can hear us, I think. And then there's another question about why don't you launch a communication about the injustice in Cameroon, schools, energy, corruption, insecurity, all of that. People need to be unified behind general issues everyone faces on a daily basis. Yes, that is also part of what the communications team will be doing. Earlier on spoke about identifying assets of people in Cameroon and how much wealth has been amassed in 1% of the population. But yeah, the injustices that take place in Cameroon are enormous. So you are very aligned, because one of the things, the theme of this session today is actually unity and justice. We have to stay united, and justice is really for those who have lost their lives, those who are being arrested, those who are being harassed, but for all the Cameroonian people whose will has been subverted. That is the justice that we're seeking. And so the campaign is on various platforms where we're doing all of that to respond to your question.
Ray, can I
Yes, we can
react to a couple of things. I want to react to one is the 48-hour deadline that was talked about. I don't know if you've addressed that, but somebody asked a question to that effect. And what I want to say about that is a couple of things. One, it was a two-part piece of communication from Issa Tchiroma. Two parts, but I think only one of them was retained, and we did not do, because there was no communications structure in place, we did not do enough to underscore the second part of that speech. The first part was the 48-hour ultimatum that was given. It was clear to everybody. Everybody heard that. The second part was, if in 48 hours your loved ones are not released, please go in front of the prisons where they're incarcerated and demand their release. And fact is, somehow we were hoping, I was hoping, and I know others were, that thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of Cameroonians will stand in front of Kondengi and demand the release of the 400, 500 young people who are there. That the same would happen in Douala for the 700 people, and so on. That was the hope. But we didn't do it. And this points to the nature of the crisis we have. You know, we need to do more to educate the public. We need to do more to explain, you know, the utterances that come from Issa Tchiroma, so that we can see him moving forward with the nation, not him standing out there as a lone ranger and talking about things that need to be done, and he has no army to enforce it. He has no citizens to help enforce it. So Prince or somebody is saying that part was not clear, and you're totally right. We should have done it. So the next time around, we'll make sure when he speaks that the key elements of the presentation would be highlighted so that people know exactly what he's talking about. But the reason I bring it up here is just again to emphasize the fact that we're all in this, and we all, in our various ways, have to provide the push that is needed to achieve what needs to be done. So that's one. The second thing I wanted to react to is there was a question about assets, and I just want to inform everyone here that a team of top-notch lawyers in Cameroon and abroad are working on identifying the assets of the criminal gang. And if anybody here is taking information back to them, take that. Take that. Let them know that their assets are being identified. And based on what happens in the coming weeks and months, those assets will be published. And Cameroonians may be asked to go and demand a return of their resources that were used to acquire those assets. People may be asked to peacefully go and demand a return of the resources that were used to build those assets or to acquire them. So that work is going on. Now, that's with the legal team. the communications team should have done the work on the speech. There's also the financial team, which merges here with what the Project C financial team is doing. There's a common area here. So every week Elizabeth talks about making these contributions. I think we should continue to make them, and I really hope we do, because it's now that the Tchiroma team is going to have to step up and do things. For example, I don't know if it's been mentioned, but we're thinking about if we had thought about this and bought recording equipment, including a teleprompter and all of those things. This whole thing of speeches being dependent on whether he's in a secure location or not would not have arisen. But it has now, and we may need to purchase that piece of equipment, the recording equipment, ASAP, as soon as possible. There is also we asked someone to produce a film, a documentary, a 26-minute documentary that ties up the crimes of the regime, from crime to outcome to impact. And I think he has a fantastic storyline which will help people anywhere and everywhere understand what really happened in Cameroon. He will, besides just all these state corporations that were handed to people, invariably, unfortunately, mostly from the family and friends in a certain part of the country. These public enterprises were handed to them to run, and they ran them to the ground. That story will be told, and many of these enterprises from Cameroon Airlines, which was our star symbol in the air, to Camship Lines, which was again an innovation for any African country in the seas, and then on ground, Sotuk in our urban areas, and you can go on and on and on with all kinds of public enterprises that were run to the ground. So this documentary will tell that story in a very, well, that's the intent, but we need a lot of money for that. And I just told him we'll look into it. He has the storyboard kind of ready to go. And you may know who I'm talking about, Jean-Pierre Bekolo. Jean-Pierre Bekolo is one of the best cineasts in the country right now, and an author with a good pen. So we've told Jean-Pierre, we've told Jean-Pierre to hold on, and we will see if the kind of money we need to produce that film can be raised. And if it is, then he says it will not take, it will take a few weeks because he's done most of the research. And if he does, this thing may be out in a month or two, and it gives us a very powerful tool for telling our story to ourselves and to the world, because a lot of Cameroonians know the problems because they feel them, but they don't make the connections between Ngongo's house and their problems. If you think about Ayolo's cars, his cars, he has, we've been told the kinds of cars he has that will make Jay Leno in Los Angeles jealous, outrightly jealous. Now, each of Ayolo's car, each one, could be the annual earnings of 3, 4, 5, maybe 10 coffee farmers. Each car. Because if each of the 10 coffee farmers are making $1 million a year, 1 million francs a year, 10 of them, or even if it were 1 million francs in 3 months, every 3 months, so it would be 4 million a year, even 10 of them, 40 million, will not buy one of those cars. will not buy one of those cars. So think about this guy's whole life, his 6 children, he's making 4 million in 3 months. His whole eating, feeding of his children, sending them to school, all of that will not buy one of Ayolo's cars. This is the truth of the matter. And you know, if we can't tell that story in ways that people that connect to people, they will not really see, they will understand that, yeah, Ayolo should be kicked out, but they will not understand why it should be them or why it affects them. So we have to help make those connections, you know. And so I say this from the perspective of raising the money to do the work that needs to be done. I know Elizabeth will give me a sorry, that I was saying she'll send me lollipops or whatever. I don't know. Thank me for making the case for raising more money, because I've never known how to do it. So now I know. So thank you, Ray. Thanks, Elizabeth. Thanks, Herman.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Eric, and for that. I want to thank everyone. Herman, if you're here, we'll be rounding up now. And I'm going to ask for you all to stay engaged this week. That there would be a lot of as we unveil what we're working on, as we wait for Mr. Tchiroma to make a public pronouncement anytime from now, we would stay engaged beginning on Monday. We would begin to make the case to the Cameroonian public why we all have to stay engaged and participate actively, why there is a need for everyone everywhere to make a sacrifice, and that we will not stop until we put an end to this constitutional coup d'etat that has been taken, that is taking place in Cameroon, because the process, like I said, it's not over. You may think that the goal was just the elections. We know that it's not just the elections. It's waiting. The process is to ensure that more than just Mr. Biya, it's another next generation of kleptocrats that are going to put themselves in place to continue with this regime that has for 43 years really dragged our country into the doldrums of economic difficulty and challenges for everyone. So one, we're going to continue addressing this question of the coup. We're going to ensure that this regime is defined as illegitimate and not having the legitimacy from the people who are the supreme authority in the country, where sovereignty lies with the people. That's something that we're going to do. And then we're going to be mobilizing the people to ensure that they participate in this process. And there's several parts that we're going to be taking as we embark on this, which have been shared in our strategy that we developed, that we shared with you. And so all of this action-packed week lies ahead of us. And in the mix of all of that, things may change. We would have to come back and adjust. But whatever it takes, we're going to be here walking with you, standing with you as we embark on try again the resistance to this constitutional coup that's taking place right in front of our eyes. Eric, you wanted to come back? And then I'll hand this over to Herman.
Yeah, just a quick, I forgot to mention this when you gave me the floor. I was going to say that we want, and I think Mr. Tchiroma has agreed to talk to us and take questions when he can and when we can arrange it. And arranging it would require, I think we agreed on this, that anybody who's interested in that discussion, which could take place as early as next weekend, should download and download the software Zangi, and maybe share it with Judith or Mike, I don't know, who would then create a group. And then anybody who's in that group can attend the meeting, maybe before next week's Zoom or after next week's Zoom and have that exchange with Mr. Tchiroma. We could, I'm saying this, and please, I'm saying it carefully, in the hope that his security situation will allow for this to happen. So if it does, he'll be more than willing to talk to us as early as next week. So if you're interested, and if it's not next week, could be a day after next Saturday, it could be 2 days after next Saturday. But if you're interested, please download Zangi, send it to Project C folks, and we'll establish a group based on that, and then inform you when he can make that, when he can have that engagement with us. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Eric. I'll start by saying we're going to have that put up in the forums so that people can join, and we'll figure out how that we'll make an announcement so that people can join accordingly. And then once we have that confirmation, we'll let you all know through the Zangi. But Herman, please.
Oui, Harry, permet que j'en appelle encore à la compassion, à la générosité et à l'humanisme de tous ceux qui écoutent. Nous avons 2000 personnes environ qui ont été embastillées, emprisonnées. On a au moins 50 familles qui sont endeuillées. Et beaucoup de personnes ont manifesté de l'intérêt, de la volonté d'aider. Et je voudrais que pendant que Elisabeth parlait de finances, que nous pensions, s'il vous plaît, à être un peu plus généreux, un peu plus humaniste, parce qu'il y a des avocats. Il y a Maître Kenyé qui travaille. Hier, il se plaignait de ce qu'à la prison de Ntui, il s'est rendu compte qu'il y a 300 personnes qui ont été emprisonnées sans information. Et on n'était même pas au courant, même dans la tournée du ministre de l'administration territoriale. On n'y a pas fait mention. Donc, c'est dire qu'il y a au moins 300 familles juste à la prison de Ntui qui n'ont pour la plupart aucune information. À Douala, on n'en a aucune idée. À Yaoundé, à Bafoussa, partout. Donc, si des personnes qui écoutent veulent prêter une attention particulière à ça, elles peuvent contribuer avec l'idée que voilà où les fonds sont dirigés, il faut se déplacer. Il y a le collectif des avocats de Maître Ngefak aussi qui travaille là-dessus. Si ça peut vraiment aider, je sais que Ndjumante, oui, quelqu'un a posé, je sais que Ndjumante travaille là-dessus, mais c'est extrêmement demandant en termes de déplacement, en termes de communication, en termes de personnes accompagnantes. Donc, c'est juste ça que je voudrais ajouter à Ray pour nous tous. Merci.
OK. Merci beaucoup, Herman. Do all you can to donate to the movement, and do all you can to donate wherever you can, even if you know families that are affected and you want to donate to them directly. Please, this is a moment for us to do what we can, be united, stand for justice. This is a moment for everyone, everywhere, to play your little part. Let us not be discouraged. Again, I said the elections itself was just part of the constitutional coup that is taking place. We have to stop it before it gets to completion, because when it gets to completion, our country would have regressed to pre-colonial days in essence. Because what we are seeing now in Cameroon is a choking of the liberties of our people in ways that we have not seen even in the 90s, where people cannot be allowed to express themselves. They don't have the freedoms that are enshrined, one, in our constitution, but even the law of associations that was promulgated in 1990. And even we're seeing TV stations being stifled from communicating information about the elections. Newspapers are being put under tremendous pressure not to publish some of the incredible things that we've been putting out, but we will continue. We're seeing people being targeted on social media as well. We also know that, yes, when we embarked on this campaign, we didn't think that it would be a walk in the park. We are also under attack, and besides the Zoom that was attacked, but we are under attack with people talking about the work that we do, those in the diaspora wanting to to influence change in Cameroon. And that is something that we're going to do with pride, with dignity, because the people in Cameroon deserve the dignity that our children here have, that we have children here that go to good schools. And why would a child in Cameroon not be entitled to that for a country that is blessed with so much resources? So if anything that we're going to take away from this conversation here today is that the fight continues. We are working with people in Cameroon. There's a lot that is happening behind the scenes. There's a lot of conversations. We're asking for you to join us and be part of the committees that are working actively. This is winnable. We believe the next 45 days will be crucial for the future of our country. And I'm going to leave it at that. But if you are part of one of these committees, the numerous ideas that we're getting and the creative and innovative ways in which we're taking the fight to the government are things that we haven't done before. So please do not be heartened. Please make a commitment this week that you will get involved, you will donate, you will. There's so much happening. I see there's a lot of conversation about the deputy mayor in Douala who made a comment on television. It's incredibly important that there's somebody on our team that's actually met with him today. So we're federating all resources. We're talking to the various groups in the diaspora. This is a moment of incredible unity, because united is going to be the force that is going to win this. That all legal actions, all demonstrations, all of those things are tools that we have in the toolbox. But what will win this is a united force. And that united force is what is going to bring the change that we need for Cameroon. So we're going to end here today. And I'm going to say, please stay tuned to see. Every Monday, we're going to use Mondays. We will shut down the forum on Mondays, and we'll put in the WhatsApp groups the actions that are designated for the week. But on Monday, we really will be focusing on those that are arrested, highlighting their story, their names, and so that we can put pressure on the regime to ensure that it works to set free the people, because that's the only language that the regime understands. We'll name and we'll shame them, and we'll ensure that that you all play a part in this process. So again, thank you very much for being here. I see one question: have we considered establishing a research and intelligence committee? That's a good idea. That's something that can grow out of one of the committees. But I want you to know that the IT committee is doing a lot of intelligence, or should be doing a lot of intelligence work as well, because that's one way. By the way, there's a lot of intelligence that is being captured, and I'll leave it at that. So much is happening. Please be confident, just as we are, that we're moving in the right direction. Oh yes, I see another comment there that go out and seek their loved ones' freedom. People should be, as Eric said, the goal is that at every prison, a New Bell or every place where we have these people in detention, there should be mobilization around that. We saw the women who turned out at the police station in Douala, the impact that it had. We need those small moments. The moments may look small, but those are the big moments when you show up in front of a prison to release people who are in detention just for their political ideas. And that moment that is captured makes a lot of difference, whether in Cameroon or around the world. So we're counting on you, especially those in Cameroon. If you know somebody, if you're a family member, we would have lawyers go with you to those moments, to where they are detained, and action can be taken based on that. So again, Eli, I think we're going to end here today. And I want to thank everyone for being here with us today. Next week, we will be back. But I ask for you to stay tuned. Look at the forum on Monday. We'll close it for some time, and we will put actionable items in there, actionable items that you all can participate in.
All right, I just want to add on the money part that what we're going to put out there is we just, we're not just going to say, let's contribute. We have to ask ourselves how much we're going to give. So maybe on a weekly schedule, on a monthly schedule, but we want to be mindful that this is definitely not a quick fix. It is the maturity of a people, is us getting together, is us united to fight this fight. And that may take a minute. And so let's really get comfortable with the fact that we're not thinking for that white horse on Tchiroma, the white horse, to come in and save anybody, but that we're seeing ourselves do the work. And by the time that we get to Tchiroma gets in there, because really, what if he doesn't? Does the fight finish? But by the time he gets in there, we will be a different people. What would it feel like is the question I want to leave you with. What would it feel like when Cameroonians change their future? They didn't depend on any other colonial power. They took over. What would it feel like to us when we give ourselves this independence? What would it feel like when Tchiroma gets there and we know we did the work? We cannot be the same people. We will be the people who are ready to be like what Eric was saying, like the Senegals, like the Burkinas. The people are different for what they accomplish. And that is the kind of accomplishment that we want to feel for the future of our children, their children, and generations down would never, ever be the same.
Yeah. So let me just say, you all have a great week. A luta continua.
Yep. Thanks and bye, everyone.
Bye.